Next up, we have Varun Narayan, who will, a technical account manager with LabKey, who will talk a little more about CDMS and Sample Manager.
All right, thanks, Adam. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. Well, thank you first and foremost to the Synexa team. That was a fantastic presentation. It's going to be a little bit tough to go up right after that, but we'll give it a shot. So yeah, like Adam said, my name is Varun Narayan, and I am one of the account managers here at LabKey. So I may work with some of you directly, and for others, it might be the first time that we're meeting. But regardless, I'm so excited to have all of you here today to discuss the topic better together using LabKey CDMS alongside Sample Manager. So you've already heard quite a bit today about our different products and how we're planning for the future. So I thought we could spend some time talking about what you can do today within our products. So I'm sure most of you are already aware, but conducting a clinical research study requires taking your data from all different kinds of inputs. So EDC data, sample data, lab data, EHR data, and then data from any kind of outside or external databases, and then streamlining your outputs to meet your end goals. So whether that's on the study management side, where your goals are tracking study enrollment, ensuring data quality, or checking in on study progress. Whether that's reporting to your main targets, whether that's a safety board or an oversight committee, or whether that's analysis, either statistical analysis or predictive analysis, or if it's more about data sharing and publication of your data. So here at LabKey, we have a few different tools to help with this. The first of which is LabKey CDMS. So CDMS is our clinical data management system. So a lot of you have been using Study. Like Adam mentioned previously, CDMS is like Study, but with more kind of integrations built in. And so what CDMS allows you to do is it allows you to register participants and subjects with ease. So enrolling your participants into a study and adding their relevant demographic data is as simple as a file upload or via a few clicks in the UI. It also allows you to create participant groups and cohorts. So whether this is to represent common characteristics between your participants or represent experimental treatment groups such as controls or specific vaccine or immune treatment, you can do both in LabKey CDMS. It also allows you to track EDC and clinical data over time. So that's really the superpower of the study functionality. It allows you to take your data, get a holistic view, and really check for trends in your research. It also allows you to create visualizations and calculations based upon that data. So now that you've identified these trends, you can visualize them and perform further analysis. And it allows you to share study data with external collaborators. So once your research is complete, we help you to kind of simplify the dissemination of that information, and most importantly, control who can see what. So it's not that you have to share all of your data with everybody. You can share kind of select study information with specific collaborators or specific roles. So that's kind of the power of LabKey CDMS. But another tool we have to help model your clinical research studies is, of course, Sample Manager. So Sample Manager allows you to easily capture study and participant metadata. So, for example, capturing what organizations your participants are coming from, things like that surrounding those overall participant data. It allows you to create samples and establish lineage. So once again, whether it's through the UI or from a file, Sample Manager allows you to model your data relationships to see how your data kind of relates to one another, whether that's child to parent, sample to source. All of that is possible within Sample Manager. Another big benefit that Sample Manager provides for research studies is that it allows you to create roll-up views to see all of your samples and assay data for different participants. So it really makes it easy to find relevant data that's important to you kind of in the same place without having to kind of jump around the software and figure out where that data lies. It also allows you to manage sample storage and shipments. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible to model your real life working environments. So whether that's tracking internal freezers, storage units, or even physical locations, we wanted to make sure that all of that information can be modeled and tracked within the software. And it also allows you to track study protocol defined sample processing. So what does that mean? That really means utilizing the workflows that we have built in to track, standardize, and assign responsibilities for common laboratory tasks and jobs. And then also tracking in an electronic lab notebook, what you're actually doing to these samples, the results that you're receiving, why you were doing it to them in the first place, and when those actions were performed. So all of that, once again, is possible within Sample Manager. So by themselves, these products are fantastic and they do a really good job and serve a purpose for anybody in their clinical research study. But where they really shine is when you kind of use them together in tandem. So CDMS and Sample Manager are kind of built to work together. And so first off, let's talk about why. Why should you be using both of these together? What kind of issues could you be running into? Well, it's because different research roles have different needs. So let's take a look at a few roles now. Those of a data generator and that of a data consumer. So when we're talking about data generators, these could be, a study coordinator, or it could be a clinical lab technician. And so for these data generators, what they really need is they need to be able to easily add data into the system. So they're generating all this information. They need to be able to easily take that information, place it into a system that others can access. And a very important thing that they need is that it needs to be, like I said, standardized, but also validated. They need to be able to have an easy way of getting feedback or checking that the data that they're entering or adding is correct. And then they also need to be able to know what samples have been collected and where they are. So once again, that means, is that internal storage? Or have we shipped these samples to different facilities? That needs to be tracked in any kind of software solution. And when it comes to these data consumers, this once again could be a study PI, or it could be a data analyst. And when it comes to their needs, they need to be able to easily identify and select data of interest. So being able to jump into a software solution with the fewest amount of clicks or navigations possible, kind of find the information that's relevant to them in their use case, and then also be able to perform or create visualizations and reports based upon that data to derive actionable insights. That's really the name of the game for data analysts or study PIs, taking the data that you already have in that solution and then using it to generate actionable insights and derive information that you can then share with others. So many other products out there kind of focus on the needs of one or the other. And so as a result, many organizations end up using multiple different solutions for their data generators and then multiple other different solutions for their data consumers. So obviously, this could lead to some problems. So this could lead to a lack of consistency. So the The same data may be structured in different ways for use with different kind of solutions. This could also mean that you may be missing some information and not really have the full picture of that data. It could also lead to a lack of harmony. So with all these different solutions, your teams may end up being siloed away from one another, which makes sharing data incredibly difficult and can lead to stifled collaboration and innovation. But by using both CDMS and Sample Manager together, it really gives you the best of both worlds. So it creates solutions for both of these roles and their needs, while being able to reap the benefits of utilizing the same ecosystem. So for data generators, using these products in tandem means that centralizing data allows users to standardize formats for seamless data addition. So data centralization, that's really the name of the game. And you've heard people talk about it before. I'm sure you'll hear people talk about it afterwards, but it really is a boon in terms of being able to standardize the way that your data looks and easily taking that data and adding it into a software solution. It means that sample storage information can easily be included in studies. So once again, this goes a long way into giving people a holistic view of your data. So if you're looking at it from the CDMS side, if you're looking at participants, you can see samples related to these participants and see storage information, see other sample metadata. And it means that participants and sources can easily be aligned for consistency across teams. So once again, consistency is key. So being able to use the same nomenclature and use the same terminology and have the same data available to different users is really a big part of this integration. And for data consumers, so data centralization allows users to easily find relevant samples and participants where they need it. So this means that you can search for participants by associated sample data and vice versa. You can search for samples by associated participant data. So it really makes it simple to find the information that you're looking for with whatever data you have on hand. It also means that visualizations and reports can be based upon both sample and participant data. So you can derive more meaningful conclusions from your data because you get that kind of holistic approach and a holistic view. And it means that shared data allows for the easily accessible tracking of how that data was generated and who generated that data. So you heard a little bit about it in Synexus' presentation about the auditing capabilities here. So this kind of extends all the way through that integration. You can see who created the samples, who registered these participants. You can even see who performed the linking between the study and Sample Manager as well. So really making it easy to track and record what actions were performed upon your data. So really, by utilizing Sample Manager for your sample and lab data, together with CDMS for your EHR data, external databases, and EDC data, LabKey really allows you to centralize and consolidate your study components to streamline your study outputs. So this integration means that your data is centralized, which means standardized formats for easy data addition, the ability to easily identify relevant data of interest, and it helps you ensure data validity. So it helps you ensure that the data that you're putting in is accurate and correct. It also means that visualizations and reporting can be based upon both sample and participant data, which allows you to showcase overall data trends for more accurate insights. And it also means that statistical and predictive analysis can be performed on that holistic view of data, and that this data can easily be shared with external collaborators. So all this really goes to show is that LabKey is your one-stop shop when it comes to clinical research studies. And one thing that Adam had mentioned previously is it really combines the power of LabKey study with the ease of use of Sample Manager. So now let's talk about some of the current features that make this possible. Starting off with LabKey Link to Study. So this allows you to easily link both sample and assay data to a desired study. All that you would need to provide is you need to make sure that participant and time information is provided during the linkage. And then this data actually appears in the target study as a data set. So this can be configured to be manual, so you can manually link this stuff to a study or your sample information to a study, or you can have it configured to be automatic. So you can set it up so that whenever you import sample data, it's automatically linked to a target study. And another current feature is the translation of participants to sources. So participants in your study can be turned into sources in Sample Manager. So this can be done once again via file import because the data is already structured correctly. Or it could be done manually through the UI. It's also possible to automate this process. So you can create an ETL that can take your participants and translate them into sources in Sample Manager. And it allows you to use the View Source Sample and View Source Assay buttons to easily jump between Sample Manager and your target study. So it allows your users to find the data that they're looking for, where they're looking for it. So if they're within Sample Manager, they're looking at sample information, and they want to see maybe some clinical data related to that sample or to that participant. With the click of a button, you can hop over to the study, see that data set in as few clicks as possible. And so finally, let's talk about everyone's favorite part, and that is new features. So coming soon, planned improvements. So one thing that we're working on, and Adam touched on this a bit in his presentation, is the easier translation between participants and sources. So we're really working on streamlining that process to make it as easy as possible to take your participants and have them appear in Sample Manager as sources. We're also working on the ability to search for samples based on participant groups. So once again, this is in line with making it easier to find the relevant data that you're looking for based upon the information you have. And then finally, the last two are things that we're always working on improving and striving to work towards, which is scalability and performance, and then usability improvements. So as your projects grow, we want to make sure that you can still expect the same results. And as always, we greatly value client feedback, and that's kind of how we determine our future strategy and features. So whether that's through meetings with myself and other members of the EAM team, the client survey that's going out, or direct conversations with any other team members, it's incredibly important to us to have your feedback, and that's kind of what we use to drive our products moving forward. And that's really all I have today. Any other questions or anything, any topics or concerns?
Yeah, there's one question posed asking, is CDMS actually launched and how do I get a trial, please? And you can answer that or I can answer that. So CDMS is new. We are in the process of launching it now. So stay tuned, watch your mailbox, and you'll get notifications about when it's available and potential trials and other options.